Hello, grades K through 5 parents. Good afternoon. It is time for our masterclass today. How you guys doing? How's parents doing? Let's get into today's class. As you all come in, say good afternoon to me. Say good afternoon. Um, for those of you who don't know, my name is Portia Williams, also known as the Student Success Coach. And what I do is I help grades K through 5 parents confidently speak up on their child's behalf without being seen as the angry parent so that they can help their child achieve academic success. All right, and so that's a little bit about me and what I do. Each and every Wednesday, actually, no longer Mondays, we just switched our masterclass time and date. So each and every Wednesday at 12 noon, that's our new time as well. Wednesdays at 12 noon, I help parents teach their child how to achieve academically. And I do that by teaching parents how to take charge, right? And so what I do is I come here at the Student Success School and I teach parents how to take charge of their child's academic success. I give transformational information, things I've experienced, things I've learned, things I've taught, right? Not only students, but encourage other parents to do as well to really help their child achieve academic success. And I can tell you it has worked, all right? And so this is the place for you. If your child isn't doing well academically, this is the place for you. I will be showing you each and every Wednesday how to confidently speak up on your child's behalf. I know there are parents who struggle with that. They really struggle speaking up and confidently speaking up on their child's behalf when it comes to really helping their child achieve academically. It's a challenge for some parents. For other parents, they don't have a problem speaking up at all. But their biggest challenge is when they do show up, they show up and are seen as the angry parent. And so here I give you tools, right? How, if you're struggling with speaking up, or you're struggling with how you come off as the angry parent, how you can best effectively help your child achieve academic success, all right? And so I want you to help your child, but I want you to do it in an effective way that's gonna get your child results, gonna get you results, and really are gonna help them achieve academic success, right? And you'll reap the reward behind it because you'll be the one showing them these great and amazing things, all right? And so that's a little bit about who I am and what I do. And so if you all have any questions, if it's your first time here, please say hello to me. Say hello to me. And any questions that you might have, please feel free to ask them. One thing I do know is that a closed mouth really doesn't get fed. A closed mouth really doesn't get fed. And so make sure you ask any questions that you might have, okay? All right. And so I'm ready to get into today's masterclass. If you haven't seen the topic, it's entitled How to Help Your Child Pass Tests and Quizzes. All right, how to help your child pass tests and quizzes. And so my first question for you all is, do you have a child who isn't passing tests and quiz? That's first. Do you have a child that is not passing tests and quizzes in class? Like, are they coming back, right? Maybe they're bringing them home, right? And they're not good at all. They failed the test, right? They might have gotten 1 or 2 right. Maybe, they have a D. Maybe they bring it home, C minuses, and maybe it was only like a 5-question test. Like, are they failing tests though? And C isn't really a failing grade, but does it look like they're getting like more wrong than they are getting right? Or are you getting the grades back, right? Maybe you get an email from your child's teacher with your child's teacher showing you the results of the test and they did poorly, right? They have failing grades on it. They're not doing well. If so, let me know. Okay, let me know so that I can help you during this class. And I want to help you. I'm gonna take a sip of water and then I'm gonna go into my very first point. I do ask that you take notes. Take good notes. You will have access to this replay, but I want you to take some good notes as well, because I think that taking notes can help some of us retain information better as well. You can kind of like say it in your own way. All right, and so that's my first point, right? But let's see, why did I push it back? I don't know why I pushed it back. Let's see. As long as you guys can see me. So the first thing I want to share about helping your child pass test and quiz is that parents, you have to teach your child how to pass test and quiz. Like you do. So if they're failing, right, and I've asked you all to let me know if they are. If they are, you have to teach them how to pass. Okay? If you want to see them change, you're going to have to teach your child how to pass test and quiz. Right now, while they're in elementary school, grades K through 5, you have to teach them that. Because if your child is failing tests and quizzes, one of the things that I know is that you cannot afford to wait to see how they do the next test or the next quiz before you start to implement some help for them, before you start to help them, before you start to get them some help. Okay? You can't afford to do that. So that's number one. That's the first thing, right? You have to teach your child how to pass tests and quiz. You have to teach your grades K through 5 child that. And the reason I say that is because you can't afford to wait until they get their next test or their next quiz before you begin to help them. And the reason I say that is because if your child is in a classroom where they're only going to take 2 tests or 2 quizzes a quarter, right? Then if they fail both of them, and let's say tests are 50% of their grade, they're already failing. So you really can't afford to wait, right, to the next test before you start to see if your child really needs help in this area. Like it's not a good decision, because depending on your teacher, right, your child's teacher, maybe the way he or she has her classroom set up or their grading scale, they only give 2 tests because they don't want students to have to worry about a lot of tests, but they put a lot of weight on tests. So they've spent most of the quarter pouring into your student, making sure they have what they need. If your child fails that test, they're already looking probably, right, at a 75 in the class if they just failed 1 test already. That's not including if they miss any homework, if they miss any classwork, they didn't do the project. So you really don't want to do that. Your child will already have a C average. I don't know which side is C, but your child will already have a C average if they failed that first test, if that was the grading scale, right? 2 tests. And if they failed the other one, they're already looking at failing the class. And unfortunately, there are students failing because of that. And I'll share this in the program that I have. I didn't share that. You all, if you don't know, I have an 8-week program that teaches grades K through 5 parents from A to Z how to help their child achieve academic success. And so that includes speaking up, right? How to not be really seen as the angry parent. That goes into learning your child's learning style, really setting up routines for your child that's going to work, how to teach them how to study. I mean, the list goes on. From A to Z, I teach you how to help your child achieve academic success. But one of the things that I talk about before closing the program is where your child's grading scales are. Like, that's important to know what is the grading scale in the classroom. And honestly, there are so many parents that don't know it, right? My parents didn't know it. I didn't even know it, what my grading skills were in the classroom. And so that's something that's key, because in the beginning of the year, you can learn how to set up your child for success if you had the grading scale. That's one way. But I talk about that in the program, right? And so I encourage you, if you want to learn more about that, please sign up for a speak up session with me, and I can help you with that in the program, okay? And so that's that. But I want to get back to our topic at hand. You really want to look at that. because you don't want your child to bring home two failing grades and they're already failing simply by test, and you hadn't put in any work. So that's first. Okay, that's first. My second point I want to make to you, why I say you have to teach your child, like you need to do this. You teach your child how to pass test and quiz, because unfortunately it's not unfortunately your child's teacher doesn't have time. That's just how I can say it, as simple as I can get, like as simple as I can make it. Your child's teacher doesn't have time to really help them additionally pass test and quiz outside of teaching them in the classroom. If your child is failing, more than likely your child's teacher doesn't have like a lot of extra time to really dig deep into those skills like they want to. And I believe there are probably 90% of educators who would love to. But the way that school days are really set up, teachers don't have a lot of time to pour into your child to help them improve like they really want to, without taking them from out of lunch, right? Without telling them they can't go to elective, okay? Without not giving them recess. And so I want to share that with you about the timing. Your child's teacher probably won't have a lot of time because of the school day. But this is why I say you have to teach your child, because it's not only on your child's teacher. Because it's not only on them, because they don't have a lot of time. They just don't. I'm a former educator, for those of you who don't know. I've taught your age students. I've taught kindergarten, right? I've served in second grade. I've served it from K to 12. I've served, well, K to 8. I've served. And I've like mentored, high school students. But my point that I'm making here is that there's not a lot of time. As an educator, right? As someone who's served in education, there's just not a lot of time to go back, even when educators want to help students. It's not a lot of time to give them extra help when they're failing test and quizzes. And I can prove it to you. Let's say your child has a 6-hour school day, right? Let's say your child has a 6-hour school day. And they have 4 major subjects, right, that they're going to need: math, science, social studies, and reading, right? Math, science, social studies, reading, right? They might call it ELA in your district, right? They might call it history in your district, right? Whatever it is math, science, reading, and social studies, history, right? Let's say your teacher gets an hour to focus on those a day. Let's say they even get that, which most of the classes are not, because you have elementary school students. But let's just say they have an hour to work on that a day. Let's say your student is in those classes, those 4 individual classes, at least an hour, right? The lesson has to be taught, classwork has to be given, questions have to be asked. That's just not a lot of time. If you divide that in an hour, that's 20 minutes for questions, 20 minutes for the lesson, 20 minutes for classwork. That's still not a lot of time, because it's divided so much, right? It's divided up like so much. But if that was the case, your child would only have like 2 hours left. If it was 4 hours, it would only be 2 hours left for class, left in school. And that's filled up with lunch. That's filled up with electives that they have to go to, like PE, music, art, technology, those other classes. And then lunch, recess, right? And so that takes up the rest of their day. And so it's very challenging for a teacher to be able to work with individual students, right, without pulling them out of their other areas that they're supposed to be getting freedom, is what I want to think of it as. They're supposed to be getting freedom from their brain being boggled out with challenging work, when we think about the challenge of math, reading, science, and social studies, things like that. But all the other ones are great too. Electives are great, but it's more creative, actually, right? It's more creative in learning. And so your child's teacher probably doesn't want to take them out of that. You probably want them to, but I don't know if I encourage that. I don't personally know. I don't know your situation. I don't know your child's challenge, but I can. Like, you can sign up for a speak up session with me, and I can get to know your child's challenge so that I can help you and see if that is something that can be done, right? To help your child pass test and quiz. But even at the bare minimum, that's why I'm telling you, teach your child. Because even when they're not at school, you can spend time with them at home and help them. Okay, and I'll share with you why in just a few. All right, but let's get back to what I was talking about, because I can go that way. My third point of why I believe that you should really teach your child how to pass test and quiz. Parents, it's because, listen, if they're not passing test and quiz, they're probably not learning. They're probably not learning. And I say that in all honesty. If your child, I could try to prove it to you as best as I can. But again, my point is, if they aren't passing test and quiz, they're probably not learning. Because what I've known as an educator, even the most smartest students that I've served, because I've served some like baby geniuses for real. One of the most smartest students I've served, he did not like to do homework. He was a genius at math. He never failed a math test. He didn't do no homework, but he never failed a math test. He never failed a math test. And the reason that he never failed a math test is because he was learning. He didn't do no homework. That was my biggest challenge with him. He didn't want to do no homework. He did not want to go home and do homework. But he did work in the classroom with me. But he did not want to do homework, right? That was my biggest challenge with him. And he was a second grader at the time. At that time, he was a second grader. He did not want to do any homework. But he passed test and quiz out. Like, he was going to pass the test. And the truth was, he was learning. He was learning. He also had behavior challenges. Many of them. Many of days. But he made sure he passed a test and quiz. And it was because he was learning. And I mentioned his behavior challenge, and I mentioned also he didn't want to do any homework, because even when a child is having challenge, hey, Rubina, even when a child is having challenges, if they're learning, they can pass. And they can pass a test if they're learning. So if they're learning, they can pass a test. But if your child is not passing a test, it's very possible that they're not learning anything. And that's why they're not passing. I've seen the most behavior challenged students that didn't want to do right in the classroom and didn't want to do right at home. But when it came to taking a test, they passed because they were learning. And I know that because when you learn something, you want to prove it. You want to prove it. You want to prove that you know it. And that student had to prove that he knew the information. He wanted to prove that he knew the information because he already knew what he was talking about. He knew what he was doing. And so I say that to say this. Parents, you got to teach your child how. Good afternoon. You have to teach your child how to pass tests and quiz. Tests and quizzes because if they aren't passing them, it's probably because they are not learning. And if they aren't learning, I don't care how you feel when you get off of work, you are going to have to help them. You can work all day. You can sit in traffic for 2 hours going and coming. But if your child is not passing tests and quizzes, it's probably because they're not learning. That's one of the reasons. They are not learning the information. And so they're not passing because they don't know it. And if they knew the information, they would not sit there and write the wrong answers. I promise you they wouldn't. They wouldn't. They would not. And so that's something I wanted to share, okay? Here's another point that I wanted you all to get. If you teach your child how to pass tests and quiz, you won't have to pay for tutoring. You will not probably have to pay for tutoring. And you could probably save a lot of money. What I realize is there are so many parents right now who are literally inboxing me, and I love you. I love you. Don't stop inboxing me. But there are parents inboxing me right now like, hey, do you tutor? I'm like, no. But if you're looking for one, I'll send you one your way. I will. But the truth is, if you taught your child how to pass these tests and quizzes, you won't have to look for a tutor. You won't have to spend your money on another person. Probably. You probably won't. Now, if you want to do so, you can. That's up to you. But again, if you taught your child how to pass these tests and quizzes, you probably wouldn't have to spend money out of your pocket for tutoring. You can really save money if you're looking to do that. Okay? And so I'm telling you that because parents, you can do it. You can do it. You can teach your child how to pass tests and quiz. You. Yes, you. You can teach them. I promise. You have what it takes to teach your child how to pass test and quiz. You have what it takes. I'm not telling you this because I don't have nothing else to say. I'm telling you this because I've seen parents take the tools and apply it, and it works. Okay? And so please, 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 if you're like, okay, coach, you say that I can do this. You listed all the things that I'm probably doing wrong. You've listed that, right? That I'm probably not doing right. No, I don't feel like helping my child pass no test. I don't. This is true. So I would pay for tutoring, right? I do feel like my child's teacher should be taking some extra time to help them pass tests, right? Maybe you feel those ways. But you can be the one to teach your child how to pass these tests and quizzes. And here's the way that I suggest and that I would encourage any parent, right, who needs this type of help. If their child is failing, right, if your grades K-5 child is failing and is not passing tests and quizzes, if they're bringing home poor test grades and poor quiz grades, you do have to teach them how to pass. And I encourage you to teach them how to pass these tests and quiz by setting up study routines for your child. That's that. Set up study routines for them that are going to work. Set up study routines for them. And the truth is, set up study routines with them. Okay? Set up study routines with them. Like you working with them. All right? And the reason I say that is because I am telling you, I've seen it work. One of the benefits, and I alluded to this yesterday when I was inviting you all to this masterclass, is the first thing that I think is most important. Let's move out. That's change the perspective of your child's grades improving. Yes, if you teach them this, their grades will improve. But one of the benefits of setting up study sessions with your child is that you actually build a learning relationship with your child. Not a mother-daughter relationship, not a father-son relationship, not a daddy-baby girl relationship, not a mommy's boy relationship, not any of that, but really a learning relationship. You'll be spending time getting to know your learner. And I love that when parents are able to study with their child, because what I know is that, one, it builds a connection. It builds a connection that may not have been built before. There's another level of development between your relationship, right? There can be fun in that relationship. Many parents, their biggest fear is they don't want to be friends with their child because they don't want their child to disrespect them. And that's why they don't play with their kids. You hear parents like, I'm not about to play with you. I don't play with my kids. When it comes to learning, that's one of the best times when you can actually have fun with your child without like being strict, right? Without like hammering down on them. With learning, it can become fun. And your child can actually see a different side of you. Like, oh my God, I like you. So that's one of the benefits, when if your child is not doing well in testing quizzes, if they're failing these tests and quiz, really setting up a study session with them can bring in the first thing, a relationship, a learning relationship that can build connection. It can be fun and it can be super exciting for both of you. Like, you can literally become a kid again by helping your grades K-5 child study and really have a method that works for them that would allow them to bring home A and B tests, right? And A and B quiz, whether it's pop quiz or not. All right. And so that's one of the first benefits. And I love that more than anything, more than their grades improving and all of that. I love that it builds a learning relationship between child and parent. And that's healthy. That's healthy. That's very healthy for a child. And it's healthy because it brings out another level of connection and development. Okay? And so that's the first benefit. The second benefit that, of course, I think is very important is that if your child is failing right now, test and quiz, and you set up a study session with them and begin to continually build a routine of this, you'll learn like your child's real challenge. You'll learn your child's real challenge, like what their challenge is academically, which I think is very, very important as well, right? By really sitting down with them one-on-one, you can begin to learn what the real challenge is that's causing your child to fail the test and fail the quiz, okay? And so the study session alone would allow you to get closer to that, right? You'll be able to identify some things that you might not have seen before. Another great benefit of setting up study sessions when your child is failing test and quiz is that you'll learn their strengths as well academically. You'll learn like what they're good at. So many times we know what our children, our students are poor at. They're poor at test and quiz. Immediately we know that. But often I can ask parents, like, what is your child most good at in school? And they might say something like they like lunch. That's not what they're good at. That's not what they're good at. I'm talking academically. What is your child good at? And they might be challenged at a lot of things. And I can say that because I was one. Challenged with a lot. And I'm going to tell you about it in a minute. But I had some great things. It might not have been more than what I wasn't good at. But I had some great, powerful tools as a learner that just naturally like who I was. And so that's important for you to know when you're going to try to help your child pass test and quiz. You want to know what they're good at. You want to know when they sit down, what are the questions that they're going to be able to answer without even thinking. That's good because it can help them improve their grade. Okay? And then lastly, of course, my favorite, what I coach about the most, thank God, is you'll learn your child's learning style. You'll learn your child's learning style. You can get closer to really learning your child's learning style when you create study sessions with them. You'll get to see like how they like to study, how they love to study, like the natural way that they are really most great at studying. And that's such a blessing because that's a tool that they can use forever. Ever. I'm 30 and I use my learning style all up and through. When I take notes for you all, that's technically like I'm studying my gift that God has given me, the craft that God has given me, the skill that God has given me with coaching. I have to use that, right? And I have to take notes and I have to study and use my brain, right? As I prepare. My learning style helps with all of that. And so your child can use it forever. And so I'm telling you, this is great. This is great stuff when you set up study sessions with your child to really help them pass tests and quiz. And I can tell you that because if you do it, it's going to bless your child. It's going to bless your child. It wasn't done for me. My parents did not, honey. I can't tell you a time we had a study session ever together. But one thing they did do is they sent me upstairs. Where'd you go study? Go get a book. That was my mom's favorite. Portia, go get a book. I'd be like, I'm so bored. She's like, go read a book. I'm like, read a book? Why would I want to do that? Like, so I never had like a study session with my parents at all. But they encouraged me, like, you need to go to your room and study. Like, if I would get in trouble, go to your room and study. Right? And I understand what they wanted, right? What they wanted for me to do. They had great expectations for me to like try to retain more of the stuff that I was studying. But the truth was, going to my room to study right there and alone, that is not a good study skill for Portia at all. To this day. That's not smart for Portia. Because I'm a very social person. Going to my room is punishment to study. And so that method really didn't work. Because when I would go to my room, I wasn't studying. I was not studying nothing. First of all, I didn't know how to study. My parents never taught me how to study, and I didn't learn how to study. At K through 5, what? Study? I don't know how to study. Just read the words in this book, like just keep skimming over that. And for those of you who don't know, I struggled with comprehension and phonics. So imagine what I was doing. And so that didn't work, right? Even now, I don't study. I am teaching this class in my dining room, where if someone walks through this door, I can see him. If someone goes to the kitchen, I can see him, because that works for me. I love it. I love it here. You can see the sunlight. You know, it's raining today, but there's sunlight. So I left here. But going to my room to study, I don't even work in my room. Oh my God. It'll be a miracle in a Sunday morning before I do some work in my room. It got to be a reason that I just want to be in my room and just do some work. I don't work in my bedroom at all. Try not to do too much work in my bed. It just doesn't work for me. I'm just a social person. Also, right? I'll go to Starbucks and work. I love going to Starbucks and work. Like, that's a thing for me. I used to love to do, like, go to Starbucks and work, because people are moving. Interaction is happening. So I can study. I can get stuff down. I can read the word of God. I can study the word of God in Starbucks. Oh, and it be jumping in Starbucks too. In case somebody never knew, Starbucks be jumping. Okay? Starbucks be getting it in. One of the Starbucks, like, not the one near my house, not the other one near my house, but like a little bit way, the one I really like to go to, they be in there jumping. I be playing all type of music, but I'm able to focus in. And so I say that to say this, right? My parents did not teach me how to study. They were making me do all type of tools, giving me tools to try to help me study that did not work for me at all. And it didn't help me pass any test, because I was a poor test taker. I can't tell you, it would be a miracle, and again, a Sunday morning, if I ever had brought home a test that I passed. I never, y'all. I wish I could tell y'all something different. But the truth is, I did not pass test and quiz at all. At all, y'all. So the method wasn't working that my parents was giving me at all. The go study, that didn't work. I still wasn't passing tests and quizzes. And I did not have a routine that was effective. Like, my study, the little bit of skipping over words, and it wasn't effective at all. And so I say setting up a study routine is super important, because if your child is failing, right, and they're failing these tests, they're bringing home poor tests, they're bringing home poor quiz, you really have to teach your child how to pass. You got to teach your grades K through 5 child this. And I say that because this is the perfect time, because they're young. You teach them now, they'll use this skill forever. They'll use it forever. And I'm telling you, you can't afford to wait till February they bring home another test. No. Because if the grading scale is, it's going to be you only take 2 tests, and if they fail the 2 tests, they're already at a failing grade, already in the classroom. If the test, let's say the tests were at 50%, the scale is already, they're already losing. They cannot pass. If the test is weighed at 50%, even if the tests are weighed at 20% each, that still can leave your child to a D if they fail. That's still technically barely passing, but that's a D. And so I say that, right? You have to teach your child how to pass these tests and quiz if they're failing. Because also, your child's teacher doesn't have the time. They don't. It's 6 hour school day, 4 hours. They got to teach each subject. One, they going to recess, they're going to lunch, and they got an elective to go to. Your child's teacher does not have a lot of time. And if they don't have a lot of time, it's not because they don't want to have a lot of time. It's just that they don't. They just don't. And so that's why you're going to have to understand that this is not your child's sole responsibility. You have to help them. You do have to help them. You gotta come home and you gotta help them. I know you work. I know you work, and you work well, and you work hard for your money, and you ain't late for your money. You provide for your family. You have great expectations for your family. You make sure that they don't never want milk, they don't never want Pampers. That's what my dad used to say all the time. Y'all ain't never want for no milk, and y'all ain't never want for no Pampers. And I thank God for that. I thank God that our booties was never cold and we was never hungry or thirsty. I thank God for that. But when you come home, you're gonna have to help them, because if they're failing, they're probably not learning. And one of the things my parents used to always say to me is, why am I sending you to school and you gonna act, you ain't learning nothing? And the truth is, if I'm not learning nothing when I go to school, you're gonna have to help me, because I'm not learning nothing at school. So you're gonna have to help me. My parents would say that all the time, but I didn't have the tools, right, or strong enough mouth that if one of them hit me, that it will reform again. What I know now as an educator and as a professional, as a coach, that if your child is failing test and quiz, they're not failing test and quiz because they just want to make you real hot as fish grease all the time. No, they're failing because they're probably not learning. And that's why their results show. That's one of the things. And then, so what that means is you're going to have to help them, right? Even if you're tired, you're going to have to help them. And then lastly, like, if you help your child pass these tests and quiz, you're not gonna have to pay for tutoring. You're not. And I'm telling you, I sent a message out earlier to a parent about tutoring. My messages are really, really, parents want tutoring. And I'm giving out a tool that will help you save some money. And that tool is set up study routines and study sessions with your child. Like, set up study sessions with your child. Not your child just go study. You set up a routine with them. And then after setting up that routine, you can figure out, is it time for you to cut back? Because I think I'm going to talk, I probably won't talk about it this week, but literally I had a parent who's actually a family member of mine. We were having a conversation on social media, and he was talking about how he figured out something that worked for his son with homework. And it took him allowing his son to do his homework first and then go back and checking it for it to become more effective for his child to grow. And I could talk more about that later, but I think that makes sense as well with studying. So it just depends on where your child is, right? So if you want to help your child pass tests and quiz, set up a great study session for them, with them, not for them, with them. Set up study sessions with them. And then you can go on and you'll learn a lot. Remember, I told you, you'll build that relationship with them. That's great for learning, that learning relationship. You'll have you'll learn their strengths, you'll learn their challenges, you'll learn their learning style. And I think one of the great benefit is when you start to learn their challenge or their strengths and their learning style, you can kind of figure out, do you need to back up or do you need to be more involved with the study session? And so that's that, okay? That's my class for today. That's our class for today. Thank you, Lord. And so if there's any questions, I can take them now. How did you all feel about this session? What did you get from this session? Coach Rubina, are you on? Like, what's your thoughts of this session? Did it make sense? Is it like, does it make sense? Is it something that you all understand that can be done? Let me know. Let me know. If you have any questions, anything, y'all, this my hair day today is woo. Mm, my hair today. My hair. My hair. My hair today. Hello, Auntie. How are you? Are you just joining in? I just asked, everyone that was on what your thought of this session. Auntie, I just was talking about my hair, how it's a different hair, it's a bad hair day today, but let me know. So what we were talking about, you have a lot of hair. I know. Yeah, so let me know, you guys, if you're on, parents that are on grades K through 5, parents, like, does it make sense what I'm asking of you to set up study sessions? I'll just go over briefly for those of you who might be tuning in. We're talking about how to pass tests and quiz today, right? That's what we're talking about. And I'm sharing with parents, you have to teach your child, especially grades K through 5. Thank you. Thank you, Auntie. You have to teach your child how to pass test and quiz. If they're failing, you got to teach them, especially now in grades K through 5. You have to teach them, because why not? Because they're young and they're so impressionable. I would have to do a whole masterclass about impressionable K through 5 students. They pick up so much during this time. They follow so much, and if you're teaching them things good, it'll stick and they'll do it forever. And so you have to teach them if they're failing, and I told you why. I told you why. It gets real out here, and I told you why. Go back and catch the replay, if you want the full details. But first, your child's teacher's not going to have a lot of time to do it. That's number one. Child's teacher's not going to have a lot of time to do it. You can't afford to wait until the next test, because the next test could literally cost them the entire class, the entire quarter. They could fail the entire quarter if they fail 2 tests, depending on their grading scale. I'll talk more about that. And then remember, yes, I understand you work a lot and you probably are tired, but here's something that's going to really help you get it. If your child is failing tests and quizzes, they're probably not learning, and that's why they're failing. I've seen the most difficult behavior challenge students, they passed tests because they were learning. And so if your child, if you might have a student who is not doing well at all, but they're great. They don't have any behavior problems. You don't have no problems out of it. You never heard your child's teacher call you and said, I don't know, I was about to say Sally, you never heard, hey, Key, I'm glad you're on. You never heard your child's teacher say Sally is acting up in class. You probably never heard that. But I've seen students who will stay on top of their head the entire class, and they pass tests, and it was because they was learning. And so that's important. That's why you really have to teach your child how to pass tests and quiz, because it's possible that they're not learning. And that's why they're not passing. They're not learning. And so you're going to have to do some work at home to help them, because your child's teacher is not going to have a lot of time to do that. It's just not enough time in the classroom day, unfortunately. And I don't think your child's teacher doesn't want to. I believe 90% of educators wish they had more time to work with students one-on-one who are failing with tests and quiz, but they don't. And so if they don't, you have to take charge and you have to help them. And I'm telling you, if you help them, you won't have to pay for tutoring. And I've sent out plenty of messages this week about tutoring, and parents want tutoring, but I'm telling you, here's a tool that's going to help you save your money and not have to ask tutoring. Set up study sessions for your child, with your child, not for, but with. Set up study sessions with your child. And I'm telling you, if you set up these study sessions with your child and you really, really help them, right, you'll learn so much. You'll build a connection with them. You'll build a learning relationship that is going to be fun, exciting. I'm telling you, you'll learn their challenge, what their real challenge is, what's actually causing them to fail the test and quiz. You'll learn their strengths. You'll learn their learning styles. Like, it's so many benefits. And you can do it. I'm telling you, you can do it. You can help your child pass test and quiz. I've seen it done. You can do it. All right? And so if you want help, if you're like, okay, I'll do it, help me. I got you. I got you. Let's get on the phone and let's talk. I have one session available this week where I can talk to you and just really see where your child is right now academically. Like what's stopping them from passing test and quiz? Let's talk about that. Let's dig deep into that. And then let's go into what's stopping you from helping them. Also, let's dig deep into what you really want for them. Like, okay, we figured out what's not working. What do you want for them? And then we can go in the process about how I can help you, right? And so if you want help with that, sign up for a speak up session with me. They're 100% free. I'm here to serve you. I know that I'm a little tough little cookie sometimes. I was about to say I don't like tough cookies. I don't like tough cookies. I know I'm tough sometimes, a little spicy, but I want you all to get it because I've been there. Anybody who knows my testimony knows that I struggle academically, and I just wish my parents had these tools to help me. So I'm giving it to you straight, but I'm giving it to you straight because I want you to be able to be effective in your child's learning, okay? And so please, please, please take charge. This is your responsibility, and if anybody should get the shout out for how well your child is doing academically, it should be you. It should be you. I just believe that. Like, you know how you have students, you hear students, hear people talk about like how their favorite teacher was the reason that they wanted to get into education. I know for me, part of the reason I got an education is because I knew of two great educators, right? One was a school psychologist and one was a school administrator. That is one of the reasons that I even thought about getting into education, because I didn't want to be a teacher. But the truth is, my parents should have got all that clout. They really should have. They really should have been the ones. And so, because they're my parents, they you know, my mother birthed me, my daddy, you know. So they should have got it. They got it. And so that's that. And I want to help you be the one that your child can say, you know what, I'm grateful I had parents to really, really help me in education. You be the one. All right. And so that wraps up our class. Again, if you want help, I'll put the link in the comment section below how you can, we can get on the phone where I can really dig deep with you and your child's, and what's going on with your child. And so please, 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 if you want help, I'm here for you. Sign up for a session with me. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Love you, love you, love you. If you have any questions or if you're catching the replay, everything still applies to you. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you want to sign up for a session, put them in the click the link in the comment. I'm about to post it right now, I promise. Until we chat again, have a great and safe week. If you need me, if you want any help, I'm here. I got you. All right? Bye-bye. Thank you guys for spending time with me today, too. I appreciate your time. I really, really do. Bye-bye.